Hello, John Najarian here. If you want to trade like a rebel, if you want to party like a rebel, well, you got to come to Rebelcon 2022. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas, at the fabulous Four Seasons Resort. We start the 21st of September, go until September 24th. It will be more fun and more live trading than we've ever done before. That's why it's called Rebelcon 2022. We're going to have barbecues and double the amount of live trading. So if you want to book that now, make sure you do, because the guest speakers, as soon as we announce those, this thing's going to be sold out. It's going to be something you do not want to miss. Limited to 250 people. Diamond, platinum, and gold packages are selling out. Sign up now for Rebelcon 2022 at the Four Seasons in Dallas, Texas.
Welcome to the Rebellion.
Good morning, I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take on this Friday morning. And as we get into it, it's pretty interesting again because the selling pressure has just been there. It seems like every single day. Maybe we got a little break today. And then again, maybe not. We'll tell you about that in just a second. So where do we start off? Well, we had all that selling at the end of the day on Wednesday. Then you get into Thursday and you start to see even more pressure once again. The Dow actually plunged underneath 30,000. We also had the NASDAQ underneath 11,000. Gives you a little bit of an idea of the push we've had just in a really short time frame. And I would encourage you to take a look at that time frame and just over the last 5, 6, 8 trading days, just to see how much of a move we have seen of late. And just the speed of this move has been absolutely extraordinary. We were down over 900 points in the Dow. We were down as well pretty significantly in the NASDAQ. Finished on the NASDAQ down 450, finished on the Dow down about 740, but still just amazing amount of selling. And it just seems like they're just literally just people are almost liquidating. And a lot of people have talked about that. Are there some big funds out there having issues? None of us really have the answers for some of these questions, but we certainly have seen an incredible amount of option activity, an incredible amount of volumes in the marketplace. Sometimes people are looking for that type of thing as maybe a bit of a flush. We'll see if that plays out. Volumes yesterday, as a matter of fact, sticking with that, 46.5 million contracts trading yesterday. So another busy day. Volatility index in a pretty decent range, 30 to 35. Finished the day closer towards that 33 level. When I talk about those indexes, every once in a while, I should bring up the Russell. So today I'm going to bring it up. The Russell yesterday was down nearly 5%, 4.7% move to the downside in the Russell. And we've talked about those IWM, the Russell, puts that we have been seeing buyers of late. And as a matter of fact, some of that being rolled down. So profits are there, taking off profits, rolling down to try to catch even more, but putting some of the money in their pocket. Always a smart trade, whether they're rolling to the upside or rolling to the downside. And in this case, a lot of those puts that we've been talking about, all that huge activity over the last, call it 10 days, has been extraordinary, and some of it already so profitable that we are seeing rolls happen. And so that's something I think you just need to know. Taking some money off the table, but still having some risk on, it says a lot about what the mentality is right now. There's no doubt about it. The 10-year right around 3.2. You've got the 2-year around 3.1. This was yesterday. Energy down nearly a little over 5.5% yesterday. Those beta energy names, now we've talked about this on the way up. We've also talked about this on the way down, but always remember, when I mention those beta names, those names that have a 2 or a 3 or a 4 beta on them, that movement to the upside happens exactly the same as you're moving to the downside. Matter of fact, it feels like it moves even quicker to the downside. But names like APA, Devon, EOG, you look over at Marathon Oil, Occidental, all those kind of names, and then throw the big boys in there as well. They were getting hammered pretty good as well. It wasn't too long ago we were watching Exxon start to make that move up at 105, and now we've actually pulled back significantly. Take a look at Chevron as well. A really, really powerful day for the energy names getting hit to the downside. Been seeing that happen for a while now. We did see oil, or crude rather, late kind of make a little bit of a rally up towards 117. So that was something. Today's a little bit of a different story. Consumer discretionary. I just look at 2 names every time I see that particular sector, and it's because they're so big of an influence, but Amazon and Tesla. Well, they were getting hammered yesterday. Consumer discretionary getting hammered yesterday. Tech getting hammered as well. Throw in Apple, throw in Meta, throw in Netflix, throw in Google, all kind of pulling to the downside. About a 4% move yesterday in tech. Financials underwater as well, down about 2.5%. It was names like JP Morgan and Citi, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, usual suspects, all getting sold off pretty significantly. And then the staples. Staples actually kind of hung in there. That was something that we expect to happen, but has not really been happening. But yesterday it did. They hung in there pretty good. They were actually all down just over 0.5%. And it was names like Procter & Gamble and Coke and Pepsi kind of hanging around, not getting sold off nearly to the extent of what we were seeing in the rest of the market. What was positive yesterday? Well, gold had a little bit of a turn. So names like Newmont stood out for us. Also Church & Dwight, another one of these where when you're looking to see if there's any positives on a negative day like we had, such a negative day, it's hard to find them. And it was difficult. General Mills, Minnesota company right over here, had a pretty decent day yesterday. And I threw in Walmart as well. But when you look at those cruise ships, Norwegian and Carnival and Royal, all getting hammered. Then I look over at something like a Ralph Lauren, had those great numbers, but people are forgetting about that. And they're just sometimes selling some of those profitable trades as well. Some of those trades that had moved pretty well, whether it's been energy or different other categories, people are looking for somewhere to just say, you know what, I gotta get out of some other stuff because I'm having to sell some of these others at a loss, significant losses. Caesars, Penn also getting hammered a little bit. Lucid yesterday, Datadog, you get the idea. American Express, Visa, across the board, just a lot of selling. So as we get into today, things look a little bit brighter starting off the day. Even with the focus and in the backdrop of CPI, that was a concern Thursday and Friday of last week. And then all of a sudden, this week, we were looking forward to the Fed. That was a concern not only on that day, but in the days leading up to that, and obviously the days following as well. But things started to look a little bit better today. Things looked all right. We were up about 200 points in the pre-market, up about 120 points for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ kept chopping wood, getting a little bit higher, got up over 170 points to the upside. The Dow started moving, and then the Dow started moving the other way. And they were moving to the upside. We were up about 200 points fairly early, about 9 o'clock, first half hour or so. Then all of a sudden we started seeing some selling. Now, obviously, it's moving that fast that it might even be different right now from when I started the show, but it was down about 115 points for the Dow last I looked, only up about 50 points, so shaved off a lot of the NASDAQ. What are we seeing happening today? We're seeing crude oil getting slammed to the downside, no doubt about it. Yesterday, I talked about that rally up to 117. That's gone. We started off the day closer to 116. Last I looked, we were 113 and getting a little even bit below that level. Looking at nat gas, that was just up towards 9. That's pushing down towards 7.5. We'll see if this kind of holds true and holds out. But for now, a little bit of relief from the inflationary side of things for sure. But obviously, there are certain categories there where we're seeing some heavy duty selling. And I would immediately point right at energy. Energy started off the day down about 0.5%. Next time I looked, just before coming on here, almost a 4% move to the downside, 3.7% to the downside for energy. So certainly seeing that flip. The VIX was trading around 32.5, close to 33. Also looking at that VXN, the volatility index of the NASDAQ. Always want to keep an eye on that one too, because it's been around 38, 39 and pushing back up towards where we were not too terribly long ago, over 40. It was over 41 just a few trading sessions ago. So just keep an eye on, I think, those volatility indexes of both, and I think you're going to be better off. Give you a little bit of a sense of what's really going on within the markets themselves. So I talked about the 2-year, kind of slipped back a little bit. The 10-year slipped back just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Not a lot of movement there. So communications started off the day pretty good, started to flatten out. We started to see healthcare not really doing a whole heck of a lot. Consumer discretionary up about 0.5%, then moved to flat. So not a lot of movement. Tech, same sort of story. Up early, then pulling back just a little bit. We also had a few things going on. The S&P 500, people talking about the bear territory. I mean, sometimes you wonder, are people talking us into some of a more of a negative stance even than we are? Maybe not. Maybe we really are. But people talk about recession, and some people say we're already in it. So there's all these debates that go on each and every day. We did get an upgrade of Capital One today, so that was something in a positive way towards the financials. But you got to look long and hard to find much in the positive sense of late. There's no doubt about that. Etsy was strong early on. I mentioned Capital One, Cuervo. I look also over at a Moderna. Some of those Chinese names started off the day pretty nice, at least. JD, PDD, Baidu, all in positive territory, like 2-3% to the upside. Zscaler, names like Walgreens, Boots, Microsoft, Apple, all starting the day pretty nice. There were a lot of names that weren't starting off so nice, though. You look at Adobe, you look at AMD, take a look at those beta energy names that we talked about just a moment ago when we were talking about yesterday, getting hammered once again today. That's Devon, that's Marathon, that's Conoco, it's Pioneer. All those names taking it to the chin a little bit today. Dollar Tree, another one of those names. I will be on the halftime report today. I'm looking forward to that. It's always going to be fun. Be talking about volatility. I'll give you a little insight first. A guy that we reference, or gal, named 50 Cent, looks like there's a lot more activity going on and looking for a little bit more volatility in the marketplace. We'll see how that pans out, but that's something we'll be talking about on the half. I'm sure of that. So, number one, American Airlines, trading around 12 and a quarter. We do have a buyer going out to August, the August 16 calls. They bought 5,000 of those calls for about 41 cents. So that stood out for me early on, seeing something positive. Haven't seen a whole lot of positive of late in the unusual. Seeing it here and there, but not as much as we normally would. Number two, I've got CF. Now, CF is another name. It was under a little bit of pressure early. It was trading around 89.50. We had a buyer of 2,000 of the July 1st expiring, so you're not getting a little bit of extra time here. The July 1st expiring, the 91 strike calls. So these are just out of the money calls. 2,000 of those trading for about $3.50. So very interesting start to the day. That big move to the upside, a little bit of a whoosh to the downside. Got a lot of trade left in this day, and we'll be talking to you at halftime today on CNBC. See you then. I'm Pete Najarian. Have a great weekend.